I'm Ratna Bhushan, friend, motivator, and guide to IAS aspirant, international motivational speaker, leadership trainer, CEO, coach, political strategist, and policy advisor. Welcome to ASG. Conceal your intention. Conceal your intention. Keep people of balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them for enough down the wrong path. Envelop them in the air of smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it will be too late. The most important news of today's are source the Hindu newspaper. Pak to make Baltistan a full-fledged province report. Imran to make announcement during his visit to the region. Pakistan had decided to elevate Gilgit-Baltistan status to that full-fledged province of Pakistan. Media report on Thursday quoted a senior minister saying, India has clearly conveyed to Pakistan that entire union territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, including the areas of Gilgit and Baltistan, are an integral part of the country by virtue of its fully legal and irrevocable accession. According to the report in the Express Tribune, Ministry of Kashmir's and Gilgit-Baltistan Affairs Ali Mamim Gandapur on Wednesday said, Ali Amin Gandapur Wednesday said that the Prime Minister Imran Khan would visit the region that make formal announcement of Gilgit-Baltistan to the status of full-fledged province with all constitutional rights. But this is the part of India. This is the part of India. The next most important news is criticism. Criticism of the judiciary and the word of advice. On free speech, there must be a forum of moderate dialogue between the players, lawyers, journalists, and the public. The fires created in stock the Justice Arun Misra using the power of contempt to convict Prashant Bhushan for free speech still rage. Well, so here comes another contempt action by a Madras High Court judge. The Tamil actor Surya, who supports the public causes, had issued a statement highlighting that he felt was a differential treatment, that when due to the fear of the novel coronavirus, the court is delivering justice through video conferencing. It is asking a student to go and write the national eligibility entrance test for admission to medical purpose without fear. The Judge Justice S.M. Subramaniam in a letter has requested the Chief Justice of Madras High Court to initiate proceeding for contempt. Possible solution. The judge is well esteemed and was in the news recently for a generous donation to support young lawyers in this difficult time. So for court watchers, this was a bit of surprise. One other matter for surprise was that this letter was given by undisclosed source to the media. This is hardly proper. It is a letter of importance addressed to the head of the judiciary in the state. And if the confidential nature had been maintained, the Chief Justice could have and dealt with a variety of ways, discuss it quietly with the judge, perhaps bring about a softening of view involving other senior members of the court for a considered decision, etc. A simple solution would have been for the court's registry to issue a statement explaining how the factual position is obviously different and the whole online court hearings are viable alternative. None such exist for NEET. How the harsh glare of the publicity with a strong voice were waiting in advocating actions of extreme ends through the letter or through the actor in only makes things more difficult for the Chief Justice. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not just Article 19(1)(a). Freedom of speech is not just Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. It is the article of faith for courts and judges because they above all know that it is essential for the functioning and survival of a democracy and for making government accountable to the people. The courts are constitutionally cast as a defender and protectors of the public right to free speech and expression. It is a tragic vision to see judges being cast as the one who want to limit and abridge it. This is not for well-being of the institution and those who man it and depend on it. And it means a great many of us. The next most important news is a push for reform. The UN must change it to reflect the altered geopolitical realities in order to stay relevant. At the United Nations commenced on 75th session of General Assembly, the need for internal reforms to suit the 21st century could not be starker. Volkan Bozkır, The Turkish diplomat and the politicians who is the incoming president of UNGC has vast concern for the structure of the 15-member Security Council are to more democratic and representative, but action has been long overdue on the demand, especially from the so-called group of G4 countries, Brazil, Germany, India, Japan, Brazil, Germany, India and Japan, G4, which advocate a permanent seat for all of them. Meanwhile, the veto power that UNSC, 5 permanent members, enjoys an anachronism in this age. This instrument is often wielded as a blunt weapon to a sword of the geopolitical interest, regardless of the disaster consequences of the victims of armed conflict. The push for reform gathered momentum following the unilateral declarations of war by United States and United Kingdom against Iraq. 2003 General Assembly's 122nd plenary meeting in 2008 decided to reform process through the Intergovernmental Negotiation Framework (IGN), an equitable representation as well as expression of the UNSC. Though the General Assembly adoption of 2015 resolution of the allowed the IGN on the basis of the framework document general some enthusiasm, it is damned by the US, Russia, China being opposed to serious reform by the Council. The G4 G4 means Brazil, Germany, India and Japan. G4, Brazil, Germany, India and Japan. G4 bemoaned earlier this year that IGN process might have been outlived its purpose given the absence of negotiating document, which alone could provide a structure to the deliberation. In any case, the exercise has been deferred in a view to COVID-19 pandemic. India's election in June as a non-permanent member of UNSC, obtaining 184 votes, is a diplomatic triumph, notwithstanding that it was the lone contestant for the Asia Pacific seat. But in sign of difficulties ahead of the achieved, New Delhi's ultimate objective, reforms to the UN, figured no more than as part of the broader vision in the declaration to commemorate the organization's 75th anniversary. The political and economic architecture of emerging global order, which allied powers shaped at the end of the war second, has been altered since then. The UN remains unreflective of the current trajectory, especially in the strategic and economic arenas. The multilateral framework now faces an unprecedented challenge to fashion a collective response to humanity's biggest problem, which include global warming and the pandemic. The next news is reject this inequitable climate proposal. The UN Secretary General sent advice to India's amounts to asking for its virtual deindustrialization and stagnation. This is the article of Hindu newspaper editorial. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for India to give up its coal immediately and reduce emission by 45% by the 2030 is a call to deindustrialize the country and abandon the population to a permanent low development trap. Piling on the pressure. In an extraordinary move in the climate diplomacy, Mr. Guterres, delivering to a Darbari Seth memorial lecture in August 28 at the Energy and Resources Institute TRI in New Delhi, called on India to make no new investment in coal after 2020, superficially framed as even-handed appeal to all G20 nations. It was reality a deliberate setting aside of fundamental principles of the United Nations Framework of Convention on the Climate Change that distinguish sharply between the responsibility and commitments of the developed countries vis-a-vis those developing of countries. Delivered on Indian soil at a premier climate institution in the country and the presence of India's External Affairs Minister, the speech was unmistakable ratcheting up of pressure of India and in the climate area. Subsequently, at the press conference at the UN headquarters on September 9, while releasing the latest climate report of the World Meteorological Organization, he has upped the ante even further by asking China and India too late to reduce their emission by 45% by 2030. And the fundamental duties, I would like to say to Honorable Prime Minister, President and Supreme Court that fundamental duty must display on each and every public places. List of fundamental duties, and each and every Indian have to know about this fundamental duty. According to Article 51A, it should be the duty of every citizen of India to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideal institution, the national flag and the national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideal that inspired the national struggle for freedom, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, and to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women, to value and preserve the rich heritage of the country's composite culture, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have a compassion for the living creature, to develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform, to safeguard public property, and to abjure violence, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rise to higher levels of endeavor and achievement, to provide opportunity for education, to provide to child or born between the age of 6 and 14 years. This duty was added by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002. Thank you so much. God bless Bharat.